Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's CITI program webinar. Today's topic is IRB protocol noncompliance. When research goes rogue, what next? It will be presented by Dr. Lisa R. Blackman-Siddall from Capella University. Today's presenter is Dr. Blackman-Siddall. Dr. Blackman-Siddall worked in her first full career as a licensed clinical psychologist in the United States Air Force. After retirement, she began her second career as an online faculty member, teaching various psychology, research methodology, and statistics courses. She has served as both a part and full-time IRB reviewer at several online institutions. Currently, she serves as the Research Integrity and Compliance Manager at Capella University. Her primary roles are to review and investigate allegations of IRB protocol noncompliance and research misconduct. She holds a BA/MA degree in psychology from Johns Hopkins University and a PhD in clinical psychology from Northwestern University.
There are 4 learning objectives in the webinar today, and they are as follows: to define IRB protocol noncompliance and consider the nuances that apply to your institution, to determine the potential importance and content of policy, standard operating procedures, and other practice documents at your institution, to explore scenarios and different potential corrective actions, and to clarify institutional goals for improvement. And these are the 4 learning objectives translated into 4 sections in the presentation. And let's start with the top one, noncompliance and the nuances, which lead to that gray area in which investigators work. So what is IRB protocol noncompliance? I tried to challenge myself to use as few words as possible in the definition, and here's what I tried to create. In simplest terms, noncompliance is the performance of any procedure that was not approved by the IRB in the final IRB-approved protocol. Now, procedure is used broadly here, and you might notice in the procedure box that everything is phrased very purposefully with a verb, and that is to reflect my conceptualization that researchers do make a choice to act. Therefore, a procedure can include, but is not limited to, use of an unapproved form, collection of unapproved data, failure to secure those data, use of an unapproved site, or performance of research without IRB approval in the first place. Really, any individual item that deviates from an approved protocol can be seen as a researcher's choice, whether intentional or mistaken, to make that change. I did want to make a quick note. Sometimes I will shorten the phrase IRB protocol noncompliance into IRB noncompliance, or shorten it even further to noncompliance. And of course, the term researcher noncompliance is also very commonly used by other institutions. But today's webinar is not about times when the IRB itself is not compliant with federal regulatory criteria. So thinking about the definition, noncompliance is the performance of any procedure that was not approved by the IRB in the final IRB-approved protocol. Is it as simple as that? If someone chooses any action that was not approved by the IRB, then can an investigator make a black and white determination regarding the severity of that infraction and a resulting sanction, like the picture on the left, more black and white, or are there gray areas like the picture on the right? And sadly, as in all things in life, decisions just aren't simple. There are nuances to every case, and those will lead investigators to work in gray areas. Noncompliance policy. Do you need it? Yes, I say. Why might you need it? Policy legally protects you. It protects the compliance officer and investigators, the IRB, protects the researcher, the participants, and the institution. Policy is protective. Policy supports the need to have an investigation in the first place, your very starting point. It will address if investigations take place. And you don't want to be in a position where you have to prove that you have a right to ask the questions that need to be asked to determine whether participant rights were upheld. Lack of policy limits your ability to enforce sanctions at the end of an investigation. So I'm going to expand a little bit and discuss what to put in a policy, and hopefully that will clarify why these 3 points seemed important to me. So in standard operating procedures, or SOPs, this is really where I would expect details to be spelled out for researchers. And what should they cover? First, I want to say, and it may be difficult to see, that there are some mustard yellow kind of bolded phrases, and I'll call them out as areas where you might want to insert legal wiggle room. A phrase such as, these examples can include but are not limited to, so that you don't box yourself into a situation where someone under investigation says, but you didn't have that listed as an example. So how do we create a culture of compliance? You really want to foster a culture of compliance. And I think the best way to do that is to keep your door open, be available, answer your emails, go to staff meetings around your institution, and make sure people know who you are and know that you're friendly. Educate your community, make sure that the researchers know what it is that's expected of them. If there are common mistakes that you see, share them. Some kind of newsletter or regular email in a town hall presentation, and try to share prevention tips so that people know how to avoid those mistakes. If you work in a setting like I do, where most of the research is minimal risk and greater than minimal risk is unusual, find those researchers that are regularly performing that greater than minimal risk research and talk with them, so you can really kind of foster that relationship and make sure that they're more likely to reach out with you with questions before a problem and not after. So in summary, these were the 4 learning objectives that I hopefully covered today. First, to define noncompliance, basically that someone chose not to do what they told the IRB they would do in their approved protocol, that there are infinite nuances in every way and in every case, and that there will be reactions, whether in you or in your institution or in the researcher, that policies, procedures, and practice documents are good things to have, and ways to develop a culture of compliance at your institution.
I invite everyone to review our content offerings regularly, as we are continually adding new courses and webinars in various areas of research, ethics, compliance, and professional development. You all may be interested in our IRB administration course. This course offers a comprehensive review of the critical areas associated with IRB and IRB office operations. Also, our responsible conduct of research course covers core norms, principles, regulations, and rules governing the practice of research. And check back with us often as we continue to develop relevant and helpful new content related to research compliance.